What's going on? How y'all doing? So this video is going to be about the fight last night between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. A couple of cats, middle-aged cats fighting, they were two of the greatest fighters of their respective generations and two of the greatest fighters ever. However, it was a landslide. I don't know what any judge or anybody was thinking to say that it was a draw. A draw would. The draw was Mike Tyson. The draw was that Mike Tyson, for 15 years of not fighting, I mean, he ain't where he was. And he looked like a middle-aged fighter, past his peak in his prime. But he looked like a guy that could definitely still step in the ring. Roy Jones Jr., he took some shots, and he's past the pull date as a fighter. But I will give him dap on that left combo in the second round. And the Roy Jones Jr., them body shots he had to take from Tyson, if that psychological reality wasn't there, he was just in his element. But see, there's why there's weight classes and there's also styles and structures to this. These guys were two different weight classes. And let's be realistic. Even now, let alone back then, Tyson would have had him for breakfast. I mean, he just had better flooring, space, and technique, counter punches. He just was doing more. But Roy Jones did catch him with that left, though. But Tyson's body shots, are you kidding me? It was cool to hear them talk and being civil and everything, and it was respectful, and it was exhibition, and it was cool for what it was. Do I want to see this again? No. Both these guys were great fighters, two of the best to ever do it in their respective times and classes. However, this ain't like a second wind of like when George Foreman won the chip when he's in his 50s, because Tyson was better. But it's not like you necessarily want to see continue to go on either. Not, and especially not these two. But it was very hyped, and it, you know, entertainment's sake. And it's a wonder what if. Now, I still say that both guys in their prime and their peak and best shape, Tyson beats him in less than 5 rounds. Because Mike Tyson and body shots was no joke. He was slinging it last night. Can you imagine that? When Tyson was prime in his peak against Roy Jones. And Roy Jones Jr. is one of the best technician type of fighters I've ever seen. However, it was just two different, not only weight classes, but just two different styles and contrast. So you'd have to like balance them out to make them even. And Tyson just looks better last night. But again, this was an exhibition and hopefully just a one-time thing. I'm glad that both brothers are alive, and I'm glad that they're prospering. Roy Jones Jr. was grateful, appreciative. Mike Tyson seems like he's at peace with himself, so I respect the what has transpired to seeing them both being where they are now, and they got their functions and faculties, and that's the most important thing. But I don't want to see that fight again. Mm-mm-mm-mm. But give me your thoughts and takes about the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight last night. What was your thoughts? Tyson won it. This ain't worth a replay, but it was cool to see them out there. Hit the like, hit subscribe, wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for one another. And it's always good to see the end results, because people go through a lot and you never know how it's going to turn out. So it's glad to see two champions that are still champions in and out the ring doing their thing. Right on.